Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Photographic Memory Podcast. I'm excited to welcome to the program Dr. Shannon Panzo. Dr. Shannon, how are you? And I know you're excited as we keep going through great episodes, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of fun here dealing with people's brains. And especially, I get to elevate people to a higher level of their own reality.
Exactly. So before we go to the topic, Dr. Shannon, you're a brain management expert, a photographic memory expert, mental photography expert, and also a mentor. And you do mentoring. So that's another thing. If you go to zuxpro.com, you can find out that information. But our topic today is one I don't want to talk about. I love technology, but you say technology is not always the best thing.
Well, the real question is, are you abusing technology or is technology abusing you?
Exactly.
It's kind of a double-edged sword in all this. Now, in our realities today, we all need technology in order to do what we need to do. And as long as we use them as tools to accomplish what it is that we need to accomplish, especially if you use it for your work, then that is the right thing to do. But there's also so much that is going on today where people are not able to live without their mobile phones. People are walking out into the street and getting run over because they're too busy listening to whatever it is that they're listening to, maybe the music. Um, there's all different sorts of things that people are doing that just aren't smart with technology. And whenever you take a look at how much time people spend on technology compared to actually living in the world that they've created, you find that they are coming under deficit. Now, this particular thing is, it's been mentioned. There's a book out there, came out, I think, in 2012, Digital Dementia. And it talks about how you lose after using the technology based uh, devices, you start to lose your cognitive abilities to the point where
Yeah.
you could be having the same type of brain activity as somebody that has had uh, a, a head injury, a brain injury. So the way that you are looking at things, the way that you perceive your world, all I can do is tell people what I do, and that is I take breaks away from the technology so that I can see pretty sunsets, so that I can see the world
Exactly.
around me, so I can experience the world in the fullness that it really is. And I recommend that to people. You have to spend some time smelling the roses. See what it is that you have built.
So you say it's okay for some technology, but not completely all the time living technology.
Well, okay. Okay, back to the fact that you are a school teacher. If you
Right.
are if you are a school teacher and you're holding class and people are getting text, people in your classroom are getting text on their phones and everything else happening on their phones, they're playing with their apps. What are they learning? Are they learning what you're teaching?
No,
No.
not at all.
So, so what they're doing is they're literally bypassing you for their own entertainment. Well, that's destructive because they're there to do their job, and that's learn. Well, the same thing is true with most of the devices that we have. It becomes so obvious that we don't see the obvious things. It's like the television. Well, the television, they've taken over into a digital platform. Is it to give us better programming? Well, somebody will say that. Yes, it gives you these big screens with all this great programming on it, and you can see a lot more of whatever the
Right.
programming is. That's great. But In reality, what the digital community does is while you're watching these great things on your digital TV, you're being fed all this extra information, programming you to do certain things, maybe things that are not even in your interest. And this is how you are controlled by that community as well. So even whenever you're dealing with the TV, something as obvious as that, you are literally um, there is no free ride out there. They're going to get their money's worth out of you one way or another. And that's how the TV works. And so what they do is they program you underneath whatever you're watching simply because it's a digital format and they can do it. This is typical.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, a couple years ago, here in Australia, all of the private schools used to actually require children to get the new iPad so that they could have their syllabus and their assignments delivered on their iPad. So every year they would have to get a new iPad, and the parents had to pan out for these new iPads. Well, it came to the fact that suddenly quite a number of the schools were no longer requiring the children to get the new iPads. And literally, Apple went into meltdown over this because they
Wow.
had a sustained guaranteed market of all these iPad sales that they could no longer count on, and the market was flush with new iPads. And so this is a typical thing. They never thought that the well would run dry, and quickly it was. There's even kids going to school today that are choosing to have the uh, they're choosing to have the ability to go back to the old ways of doing things. This includes even reading, simply because it gets their head out of the iPad, it gets their brain
Right.
working better. It makes them have the ability to think. It's cognitive ability. And again, we want to restore this
Correct.
because this is what makes us great.
Definitely.
Uh,
Okay. So this is definitely what makes us great. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, why technology hurts you. What kind of symptoms do you see for people that overuse technology too much?
One of my favorite symptoms that I like to point out is people that do an excessive amount of selfies. I'm not talking, I mean, the person might be just really photogenic and loves to see pictures of themselves. Maybe they're narcissistic. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But whenever you have people that are constantly, no matter where they go, no matter what they're doing, they're taking selfies. If you cross correlate their ability to have memory, their memory is very, very poor because they're not exercising their memory. Because I use my photographic memory and I use my memory very well. I can remember things from my childhood. I can remember things from yesterday. I can remember them in high detail. The same thing with you. You can remember things in high detail for yourself simply because you are using your brain to do so. Uh, People that take a lot of selfies, you can test them. They have crap memory. So that is a real key function there. Now, normally, if you're involved in a conversation and somebody says, "Well, what did I just say?" You'll typically be able to pull that up within 2 to 3, last 2 to 3 minutes. You have automatic recall of that. But it's past that. If you can remember a conversation that you had with somebody a week ago or 2 weeks ago or a year ago, well, that's pretty important. If you look at how the established governments look at you today, they count on you forgetting. If you forget what has happened before, you're easily manipulated how they want you to think today. And this is a big thing. Does that ring a bell with you?
Completely.
Okay. I like to know if I'm making sense with all
You're
this.
making complete sense. So let's talk about, you talk about that. What other things? You said too many selfies. What other things would be red flags?
Oh, um, oh, here's a good one. It used to be whenever you were being terminated from a job, you would go in, you would see the boss, and the boss would say, "Hey, Jim, you no longer have a job here. We're making you redundant. Today, you get a text."
Yeah.
How about relationships? Relationships. Some people never actually meet eye to eye. They're always discussing things through text. Well, it's easily whenever you're texting back and forth, you're easily misunderstood because you cannot hear or see what the person is thinking while you're actually getting these texts back and forth. So, quite often, you find that relationships come and go through text, and that's not the right way to do things. Uh, my rule of thumb is if it's important enough, you will have a conversation, you will have a discussion. And this is something that is lost today through my mentoring. All of my mentoring takes place through discussion. I don't do the automated mentoring because whenever people come to me, they come to me for quality, not some pre-recorded jargon that they have to fall into.
Exactly.
So I do things a little bit different from some people, but I specifically enjoy the quality that I am able to deliver. Now, when it comes to you and your tutoring, whenever you were doing a lot of heavy tutoring,
Right.
how did you do it? Did you do it through
In
recorded
person. In
messages?
person.
In person, right. And what were your results like?
Much better than online.
Exactly. I agree. Okay. So essentially, this comes down to okay, now we got phones going on, we got iPads going on, or any type of notepad. We got digital TV going on. We have all these different things that we need to monitor. Everything in moderation. If you are, you know, today we really need physical stimulation. So if you're in front of the computer for an hour or two, get up, walk around. I mean, this is basic
Right.
things to keep your blood system going.
Exactly.
You want to have your blood pumping through your system a little bit. So get away from the computer, then come back to it and then get started. You'll feel much better anyhow.
Agree.
Okay. Now, this is the Photographic Memory podcast, and the photographic memory stimulates people to have better brain function overall. This is also the way that you can recover yourself from all this outside manipulation. You can use this to gain your cognitive skills back. Now, whenever you're dealing with all these devices, including the computer, you start to develop and probably have already developed a certain level of tunnel vision. Well, we have in ZoxPro, we have the eye chart, which allows you to expand your awareness and perception. And thus, you break through the tunnel vision that you have incurred. Now, also for rejuvenating the mind, one of the key things here is concentration. Now, do you do you feel that concentration techniques are properly taught in school?
No, not at all.
Not at all. Okay. Well, I will give people a free concentration technique that was invented by Albert Einstein. All they have to do is go to ZoxPro, sign up for it. They get the free technique that they can use forever to enhance their concentration, uh, And things like attention to detail become second nature instead of something that is not what they need to be doing. The level of attention that people have today is very, very poor. I aim to elevate that to a whole new level, but there's work involved. It's okay. You become better.
So zuxpro.com right now for that free thing you're giving away, free technique.
The free concentration technique, right? It's right there, pretty much straight away. Uh, if you don't find it there, you'll find it at the bottom of the page.
All right, what's next? What's next show about?
Not sure. I haven't really come up with it. I felt it was necessary for people to understand that there is a serious nature of this. There is a serious reason why people should look at their brain development and really take it on board.
Agree. All right. Well, we'll have to kind of get back to the drawing board next week with another great episode and find out soon. Okay.
Excellent.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Okay. That's the Photographic Memory Podcast. Take care, guys.